Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast, and we're looking at a big Wednesday night slate here, Nate, tonight. In this one, we are going to be looking at the Golden State Warriors headed to Dallas, where Luka is back. They're taking on the Mavs there as road favorites there. Take a look at some of those best bets and player props, which Nate also has in his playpicks.com article. Make sure you check that out and do like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other couple videos we have for you today, including player props, which will have a gift card opportunity. So you do need to be liked and subscribed to the page to be eligible to win that gift card. We'll give you here in just a minute in that other video. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to FDPicks.com or DKPicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Mavericks are hovering around 6-point dogs here at home, and the total's risen a little bit, but we saw it creep up close to Warriors -7, and the public quickly started snatching that because, as my research confirmed, Dallas covers. They cover and cover and cover when they're underdogs against this team. 9 straight, in fact. We'll talk more about why that is and break it down. But first, there are 10 other games tonight. And looking at those spreads, we got Rockets +7.5 at the Wizards with a 230 total there. Pistons +10 at Hornets, total of 228. The Sixers creeping up to -9.5 at the Magic. Spurs are +7.5 at the Celtics. The Brooklyn Nets, with Kyrie Irving set to return, make his debut, in fact, -8 at the Pacers. The Raptors are +8 at the Bucks on a back-to-back. We break that one down in our other episode today. Thunder +8.5 at the Wolves, who might get Towns and Russell back from protocol. The Heat -1 at the Blazers. Hawks are +1 at the Kings with a total of 231 there. And then the Jazz -3.5 at the Nuggets. The Warriors lately have been a bit like the Brooklyn Nets, Josh, where they pull out wins, but they do not cover. They do not meet expectations. In fact, they failed to cover in 6 of their last 8 when favored. And Dallas pretty much the opposite in terms of they've covered in 6 of their last 7 against teams that made the playoffs last year, and 4 of their last 6 when they're underdogs. As I mentioned, they've covered in 9 straight when underdogs against the Warriors, 8 of their last 10 meetings overall with Golden State. And that goes back to when Golden State was a true juggernaut. But it's been about Luka getting in the fold. In his last 7 against Golden State, his offensive rating is nearly 130. He's averaging 31 points and 9 assists, and obviously just dictating the action. Dallas this year is posting pretty similar numbers with and without Luka, but their record is starkly different. 5-9 without him, 14-9 with him. And then if you look back over a few seasons, they score 3 points per game more. Their offensive rating is obviously better when Luka Doncic is in there. And in their last 5, where Luka's only been back for 2 of those, they've been playing great ball on both sides. Number 2 defensive rating, tied with the Grizzlies for the best net rating in that span. And here's the key, right? Holding opponents to 31% from 3. Yeah. So if you can limit assists, which both of these teams do, if you can limit 3-pointers, you can probably hang with the Warriors. Even if Steph gets his, if you can play good team defense to keep this team in check, I certainly think the Mavericks can cover 10 points if you tease this. And tease it down so you get the over at 209 or 210, because the Warriors have been playing worse defense on the road lately. Over in 5 straight on the road, in fact, and you're getting some extra juice because of that. Both these teams have been playing at a slow pace. Granted, Dallas plays very slow at home, tends to go under, but I don't think you can go into a shell when you're playing the Warriors like this. When you have your guys back like Luka, it's time to open things up a little bit more. Jason Kidd should understand that, and I think that we'll see enough points scored to get us over 209. I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable about just betting the over where it is, though. So over 209, or maybe you want to middle it and take a bet where you tease it up to 218 if it keeps rising, 219, 220, and take the under there, because I don't think we're going to see a shootout like we have in recent years from these teams.
Yeah, I fully agree. I got to feel real strong about that under, to be honest. I mean, the stats are definitely saying Dallas, can cover and has covered with pretty much the same team they're going to be rolling out tonight. But at the same time, that under for both of these teams, I mean, just starting with the fact that they both hit the under at the highest percentage of on the season. They're both 1 and 2 in terms of those unders hitting way more than the overs, and especially at home for Dallas, where the under hits 75% of the time, the under hits 60% of the time on Warriors road games. As we know, they've been a bit better on defense at home. But at the same time, like I think with Dallas, I can't in good conscience ever take a Dallas over right now. And since Luka came back, you look at their totals, obviously playing at the slowest pace in the league, which they pretty much always are and definitely have been in their last 5 and their last 2 since he came back. It's why their unders have hit, right, I believe 5 out of their last 7 games in general. Their last 2, the total failed to hit 190. Last game was 192 against the Nuggets in that win. But either way, like you said, they're playing great ball. And a big part of that is because they've slowed it down and played really great defense, which is what they relied upon last year as well, to a degree. And J Kidd coming in and not having the reins that same way as Carlisle did at the beginning of the season. Maybe, especially having Luka back makes game planning a ton easier. I didn't think anybody would hear a positive comment about J Kidd on this podcast this entire season, but we just went ahead and said we do expect him to understand at least how to play against the Warriors. It shouldn't be that hard. You can't continue to run and gun and try to score with Steph. You need to make sure that there's enough time in between their offensive possessions, et cetera. So I think under is where I start in this one. I kind of love that it's crept up to that 213 because I feel great taking it under there. I'm not even necessarily feeling the need to necessarily tease in this one where we currently sit with that spread for at about 5.5, 6. I still think that's okay, but that's the one that I would feel like I needed to buy points, to be honest, rather than that total. I think that total creeping up just makes me feel really, really great about taking it. I don't even feel like I really need to continue to go through too many numbers. I think you can expect the stars to come out tonight. I think there is a little bit of a buzz out here about Jordan Poole, where the stories lately have been Jordan Poole, acclimating to the fact that he's going to become a sixth man when Klay Thompson comes back, acclimating to the fact that he's also getting a lot of run with the second unit right now, and having to persevere through that. And so he came out with a huge game last game, and I don't know that will slow down for him because of the fact that he's coming out with stuff to prove, especially as he sees Klay coming and taking his starting spot, in the near future. So, I think for this one, stars out for sure, or stars up for sure in this one in terms of Steph and Luka. We'll probably talk about Steph a bit in our player props video there as well, just because when he plays as poorly as he did last game, put up probably his worst game of the season, definitely his worst game of the season, maybe his worst game in the last 2 or 3 seasons. You expect him to come back hugely as he does. And as you mentioned, those numbers against Dallas as of late are just huge. Even, that was the 50-point game, I believe, that he put up that they still lost in that awful season that they had with all those injuries. So, I think you can still expect something along those lines. Probably the dub still to pull this one out. Maybe a couple player performance doubles in there. But either way, like best bet probably of the night for me is the the under on this one, where it sits right now at 213.5 especially.
Yeah, actually, you're totally right with the game theory here, because if you're teasing it up to Dallas plus 10 and it's going to go under 214 or 218 as we're talking with the teaser, there's absolutely no chance, basically, that Dallas they'd have to score 90 points for the Warriors to cover in that scenario. Right. Like, yeah, if it would go under with the Mavericks hanging in there. And yeah, I mean, the one thing that scares me is Jordan Poole, who, with Steph having that awful game, he goes off against a shorthanded Miami team and gets that game over in their last time out.
True.
But I think Dallas has they have better all around personnel now that they have the depth that all these guys are off protocol. They might even get Trey Burke back tonight for a little more depth off the bench. And they've just been doing a great job, defensively at home. I mean, number 2 in defensive rating in their last 5, slowest pace at home, of course, allowing the 4th fewest 3-point attempts overall and the 4th lowest percentage from 3 at home. And then these teams both are top 3 in assists per game recently, but they're also 6th and 7th in assist to turnover ratio allowed on the season. So you're gonna see, Luka and Steph kind of manufacture their own offense. I think maybe some of that from Jordan Poole as well, but that doesn't usually lead to team overs when you have just a couple guys dancing and trying to get something going. In fact, that leads to a slower pace and an under. So Yeah, I think I'm with you on that 100%. If you want to take Dallas +9 with an under 218, I would feel very conservatively confident about that. Or I think you can just take it as it is and get some juice on Dallas +6 with the under if it closes at 216 or something like that.
Yep, 100%. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you took the under in every single Dallas game, every single Golden State game this year, you're making 2-1 back on your money. I mean, it's hitting 65% of the time, right? So, in general, in short, that's usually a good play. That's been my play with Dallas all over the place. If you look at, their last 20 games, I think the over has hit about 4 times. So we're really talking about a team that we know what we're getting from Dallas. We don't know exactly what we're going to get 100% from the entire Warriors team on offense, in my opinion. That's why I like this under so much. I think one of Steph or Jordan Poole is likely to go off. I think it's likely to be Steph based on recent stats versus Dallas and the fact that he's going to have a comeback game tonight. So, I think there's a couple of really solid value points here, even if some of them are conflicting, like Steph to get points, but this game to go under. I think that's where we're looking for sure. So that is all the time we have in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to the page. Check out the other couple videos we have for you today, including that player props one with the gift card opportunity. And until we see you next, happy betting.